Admiral Zekthor's four eyes tracked the holographic display with growing unease. The blue-skinned Veltari had commanded fleets across 3 sectors for over 2 decades, but nothing in his experience had prepared him for this moment. The tactical readout showed impossible numbers: a single human vessel, designation UES determination, holding position against his entire battle group of 47 ships. Admiral, his tactical officer's voice cracked slightly, the human ship it's still there. Just sitting there. Waiting. The bridge of the Veltari flagship fell silent except for the gentle hum of life support systems. Zekthor's crew, all seasoned veterans of countless battles, stared at their instruments with expressions ranging from confusion to barely concealed terror. They had engaged what their intelligence suggested was a standard human patrol vessel. What they found was something else entirely. "How long has it been since we opened fire?" Zekthor asked, though he knew the answer. 17 minutes, sir. We've hit them with everything: plasma torpedoes, quantum disruptors, even the main fusion cannon. Their shields haven't even flickered. Zekthor's primary hands clenched into fists while his secondary arms worked frantically at his command console. The Veltari Empire had built its reputation on overwhelming firepower and tactical superiority. Their ships were the most advanced in known space, their weapons capable of cracking planets. Yet here they sat, their entire arsenal rendered useless against a single human vessel that the humans themselves classified as routine patrol. "Sir, incoming transmission from the human vessel." "Put it through." The main viewer shifted to show the interior of the human ship's bridge. Zekthor had seen humans before in diplomatic meetings: pale, bipedal creatures with only 2 arms and 2 eyes. They seemed so ordinary. Fragile, even. The human captain who appeared on screen looked exactly as unremarkable as Zekthor expected. Average height, brown hair, wearing a simple blue uniform. The human was actually smiling. "Good morning, Admiral," the human said in perfectly accented Veltari Common. "I'm Captain Sarah Chen of the UES Determination. I believe you've been trying to get our attention for the past few minutes." The casual tone sent ice through Zekthor's veins. His fleet had unleashed enough firepower to glass a moon, and this human spoke as if they'd been knocking politely at her door. "I am Admiral Zekthor of the Veltari Imperial Navy," he managed to reply. "You are in violation of Imperial space. Surrender immediately or face destruction." Captain Chen's smile widened slightly. "Oh, I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding. According to our charts, this system was ceded to human administration under the Treaty of Proxima Centauri, signed 3 standard years ago. You're actually in our space." "Impossible. The Veltari Empire recognizes no such treaty. This system belongs to us by right of conquest." "Well, that's unfortunate," Chen said, her tone remaining conversational. "Because we have a station here. About 15,000 people. Scientists, mostly. Terraforming specialists. They're doing fascinating work with atmospheric processors." Zekthor's blood ran cold. A human colony. His intelligence reports had said nothing about a human colony. They'd come here to claim an empty system, to expand the Empire's borders while the galaxy's attention was focused elsewhere. If there were humans here. "I don't see any colony on our sensors," he said carefully. "Oh, they're there. Deep underground mostly. Humans prefer to dig in, you know. Makes us feel secure." Chen gestured to someone off-screen. "Actually, they've been watching this whole engagement. Quite educational for them, I imagine." "You're lying." "Admiral, I'm going to share something with you that might help clarify our situation." Chen's expression grew more serious. "My ship, the Determination, is what we call a regular patrol vessel." "Do you know what that means?" Zekthor said nothing, but his tactical officer was already pulling up human fleet classifications. What he saw made no sense. According to this, the officer whispered, regular class vessels are standard patrol ships. Mass-produced. The humans have thousands of them. That's correct, Chen continued, apparently having heard the exchange through some impossible means. The determination is exactly 1 year, 3 months, and 16 days old. We rolled off the construction line at Luna shipyards along with 47 other identical vessels in the same batch. Nothing special about us at all. Impossible, Zekthor breathed. No mass-produced vessel could withstand our firepower. Admiral, I think you're operating under some fundamental misunderstandings about human military doctrine. We don't build ships like the rest of the galaxy does. See, most species design their vessels with the assumption that they'll face opponents of roughly equal technological capability. Reasonable assumption, really. But, humans. She paused, seeming to consider her words. Humans have a different philosophy. Which is? We assume that someday, we're going to run into something much worse than us. So we build everything accordingly. The implications hit Zekthor like a physical blow. You're saying your standard patrol vessels are designed to fight superior opponents? Oh no, Admiral. That would be our destroyers. Regular patrol vessels like mine are designed to fight overwhelmingly superior opponents. The kind of threat that could wipe out entire fleets without breaking a sweat. Zekthor's senior staff exchanged glances. The weapons officer, a young Veltari named Kexdal, spoke up hesitantly. Captain Chen, if I may ask, what exactly are your regular ships equipped with? Standard loadout, Chen replied cheerfully. Class 7 defensive screens, quantum foam armor plating, 12 particle lance batteries, 6 torpedo tubes with full magazines, and, of course, the usual complement of defensive drones. Nothing fancy. Class 7 defensive screens? Zekthor's tactical officer looked like he might faint. Sir, according to our intelligence, Class 7 technology shouldn't exist. The theoretical energy requirements alone. Oh, you're thinking in terms of conventional power systems, Chen said. Humans stopped using those about 50 years ago. We found them terribly inefficient. No, the determination runs on controlled antimatter reactions. 3 of them, actually. Redundancy is important in patrol vessels. The bridge fell absolutely silent. Antimatter was the stuff of theoretical physics, of laboratory experiments conducted under the most stringent safety protocols. The energy released by even tiny amounts could power a city for years. The humans were casually announcing they had 3 antimatter reactors on a single patrol ship. How many ships like yours do the humans possess? Zekthor asked, though he dreaded the answer. Regulars? Oh, somewhere around 12,000, I think. The exact number changes daily since we're always building more. But, that's just the patrol fleet. We've got about 3,000 destroyers, maybe 800 cruisers, and I think the current heavy fleet stands at about 200 dreadnoughts. And, your dreadnoughts are significantly more capable than the determination, yes. But, really, Admiral, I didn't call to discuss fleet compositions. I called because you seem to be confused about territorial boundaries. Zekthor felt the weight of command pressing down on him like a physical force. 47 ships. The pride of the Veltari Empire. Vessels that had conquered star systems and brought entire civilizations to heel. And they couldn't scratch the paint on a human patrol ship. What do you want? He asked quietly. Well, first, I'd appreciate it if you'd stop shooting at us. It's not accomplishing anything, and it's frightening the colonists. Second, I need you to understand that this system is under human protection. We're not looking for trouble, Admiral, but we take our responsibilities seriously. And if we refuse to leave? Captain Chen's smile returned, but this time it didn't reach her eyes. Admiral, I'm one ship. A regular patrol vessel, like I said. But I'm not alone out here. We tend to travel in groups. How many ships are with you? Just 2 others. The UES Perseverance and the UES Resolution. Standard patrol formation for a regular squadron. 3 ships. 3 human regular patrol vessels against his entire battle group. The tactical situation was beyond ridiculous, it was insulting. Yet Zekthor found himself genuinely afraid of what might happen next. Admiral, his communications officer called out, I'm detecting 2 more human vessels. They just appeared. No warp signatures, no energy readings. They're just there. Stealth technology? Unknown, sir. Our sensors are showing them as having been there all along, but I swear they weren't there 30 seconds ago. Captain Chen nodded approvingly. Good timing. Captains Rodriguez and Okafor prefer the dramatic entrance. Now, Admiral Zekthor, I believe we were discussing your departure from human space? Zekthor looked at his tactical display. 3 human ships, each apparently as invulnerable as the first. His weapons officer was shaking his head frantically. Their most powerful guns had failed utterly against a single regular patrol vessel. What hope did they have against 3? We seem to have made an error in our navigation, Zekthor said finally. The Veltari Empire has no quarrel with humanity. We will withdraw immediately. Excellent decision, Admiral. I'm transmitting the current territorial boundaries to your navigation officer. In the future, if you need to transit human space, just request clearance through normal diplomatic channels. We're generally quite accommodating. Yes. Thank you. Safe travels, Admiral Zekthor. And, Admiral? Welcome to the neighborhood. Humanity is always interested in meeting new civilizations. I'm sure our diplomatic corps will be in touch soon. The transmission ended, leaving Zekthor staring at a blank screen. Around him, his bridge crew sat in stunned silence, processing what they just witnessed. Navigation, set course for home immediately, Zekthor ordered. Maximum warp. Sir, his tactical officer said quietly, what do we tell command? Zekthor considered the question carefully. How could he possibly explain this? How could he describe ships that shrugged off their most powerful weapons as if they were toys? How could he convey the casual confidence of humans who treated such vessels as routine patrol craft? We tell them, he said finally, that the galaxy just became much more interesting. As his flagship jumped to warp, carrying the Veltari battle group away from human space, Zekthor couldn't shake Captain Chen's words. Regular patrol vessels. Mass-produced ships designed to fight overwhelmingly superior opponents. If this was what humans considered routine, what horrors were they preparing for? Behind them, the 3 human ships resumed their patrol, invisible to sensors, watching the galaxy with patient, calculating eyes. On the colony world below, 15,000 scientists continued their work, secure in the knowledge that humanity's regulars stood guard. Admiral Zekthor didn't sleep for 3 days after returning to Veltari space. When he finally did, his dreams were filled with images of human shipyards, endlessly producing vessels of impossible capability, crewed by beings who spoke of antimatter reactors and planet-killing weapons with the same casual tone most people used to discuss the weather. The Veltari Empire had discovered something that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. They had found the humans. And, the humans, it seemed, had been waiting for them all along. Supreme Commander Velnara of the Galactic Intelligence Consortium stared at the data streams flowing across her neural interface with growing alarm. The crystalline being's form shifted through several warning colors as she processed the information Admiral Zekthor's fleet had gathered during their encounter with human forces. This cannot be accurate, she said finally, her mental voice echoing through the secure communication chamber deep within the GIC headquarters on Centaurus Prime. I've verified the sensor logs 17 times, replied Chief Analyst Thexium, his insectoid form clicking nervously as he manipulated the holographic displays. The energy signatures are real. The human vessels absorbed the equivalent of 47 full fleet bombardments without their defensive systems even registering stress. Around the circular chamber, representatives from 12 major galactic powers sat in stunned silence. The emergency session had been called immediately after Admiral Zekthor's report reached GIC networks, but none of them had been prepared for what they were hearing. Perhaps their sensors malfunctioned, suggested Ambassador Kretal of the Hegemony, though her tone suggested she didn't believe her own words. Battle stress can cause equipment failures. The malfunctions would have had to be identical across 47 different ships, using 3 different sensor technologies, Thexium replied. The probability of such synchronized failure is effectively 0. Supreme Commander Velnara shifted to a deep amber warning color. Show them the analysis of the human power signatures. The holographic display changed, showing a three-dimensional model of energy readings taken from the human ship designated UES determination. The assembled representatives studied the data with growing unease. These readings suggest controlled antimatter annihilation, stated Professor Yexandris of the Scientific Coalition, his tentacled form writhing with excitement despite the grave situation. But, the scale, this would require antimatter storage and containment technologies that shouldn't exist. Shouldn't exist according to our understanding, Velnara corrected. It appears humans have achieved what we considered impossible. How? Demanded General Korthak of the warrior clans, slamming his massive fist against the table. Our combined scientific resources represent thousands of worlds, millions of researchers. How do these newcomers possess technology decades ahead of our most advanced theories? That, said Velnara grimly, is what we need to determine. And, quickly. She activated a new data stream, this one showing shipping manifests, communication intercepts, and trade records going back 5 years. Since humanity joined the galactic community, we've been monitoring their activities. What we found is troubling. In what way? Asked Minister Plexona of the Trade Federation. They've been buying everything. Raw materials, primarily. Metals, rare earths, exotic matter. The quantities are staggering, enough to supply construction projects on a truly massive scale. Ship construction? That would be the logical assumption. But, here's what's strange, according to our trade monitors, humans have been purchasing materials consistent with building approximately 50,000 vessels in the last 3 years. The chamber erupted in alarmed voices. 50,000 ships was more than the combined fleets of half the species present. That's impossible, sputtered Ambassador Cretal. We would have detected such a construction program. Our surveillance networks monitor every major shipyard in human space. Every known shipyard, Velnara corrected. It appears humans have been somewhat creative in their construction methods. She activated another display, this one showing reconnaissance images of human star systems. Instead of the expected orbital shipyards, the images showed something far more disturbing. Asteroid mining operations, Professor Yexandris observed, studying the images carefully. But, on a scale I've never seen. They're not just extracting materials, they're hollowing out entire asteroid belts. For what purpose? Mobile shipyards, Velnara replied. Hidden construction facilities that can be moved from system to system. Our analysts estimate that humans have created over 300 such facilities, each capable of producing multiple vessels simultaneously. General Korthak leaned forward, his battle-scarred features grim. You're suggesting they've created a secret fleet of 50,000 vessels? Not suggesting. Confirming. But, that's not the worst part. The assembled representatives waited in tense silence. The vessels Admiral Zekthor encountered, the ones humans call regulars, represent their standard patrol craft. According to our analysis of their communications and logistics networks, these ships are treated as utterly expendable. They're assigned to the most routine duties, operated by crews with minimal training, and replaced without ceremony when damaged. What are you saying? I'm saying that what nearly destroyed Admiral Zekthor's entire battle group was, to the humans, equivalent to a police car. The silence that followed was deafening. Supreme Commander, Minister Plexona said carefully, what do we know about their actual military vessels? Velnara's form shifted to a deep, warning red. That's where things become truly alarming. We've identified at least 6 classes of human military vessel. The regulars we've discussed. Above them are ships they classify as destroyers, then, cruisers, battleships, dreadnoughts, and, finally, something they call world enders. World enders? General Korthak's voice was barely a whisper. We have no data on their capabilities. They're too heavily classified, too well protected. What we do know is that humans have built approximately 200 of them, and they consider these vessels their last resort option. Professor Yexandris was running calculations on his personal interface, his tentacles moving frantically. If their patrol vessels possess the capability we observed, and their military doctrine follows any logical progression. Yes? Velnara prompted. Their world-enders could theoretically possess the firepower to sterilize entire star systems. The chamber fell silent again, the weight of that statement settling over everyone present. There's more, Velnara continued. Our psychological profiles of human behavior patterns suggest they don't build weapons they don't intend to use. Unlike most species, who create deterrent forces, humans appear to construct their military with the assumption they will face existential threats. What kind of threats? Asked Ambassador Cretal. Unknown. But, based on their preparation levels and resource allocation, they're expecting something significantly more dangerous than anything the known galaxy has produced. Chief Analyst Thexium activated another display, this one showing human communication networks. There's something else. Human military communications contain frequent references to something they call the deep dark. Our translation algorithms suggest this refers to some kind of external threat they're monitoring. External to what? To the galaxy itself. The implications of that statement sent ripples of fear through the assembled representatives. An extragalactic threat was the stuff of nightmares, the kind of scenario that kept xenobiologists awake at night. Supreme Commander, General Kordak said slowly, are you suggesting that humans have been preparing for an invasion from outside our galaxy? I'm suggesting that humans know something we don't. Something that has motivated them to build a military force capable of fighting opponents far superior to anything in known space. Minister Plexona's commercial mind was already working through the implications. If this is true, if humans possess this level of military capability, then the balance of galactic power has already shifted, Velnara confirmed. Humanity isn't just another member species of the galactic community. Based on their capabilities, they may be the single most powerful military force in known space. What do we do with this information? Asked Ambassador Cretal. We proceed very carefully, Velnara replied. Humans have demonstrated remarkable restraint so far. Despite possessing overwhelming military superiority, they've engaged in normal diplomatic relations, honored trade agreements, and respected territorial boundaries. But they've also made it clear that they consider their interests non-negotiable. Admiral Zekthor's encounter demonstrates that they won't hesitate to display their capabilities when challenged. Professor Yexandris was studying additional data streams. Supreme Commander, I'm seeing reports of similar encounters across 17 different sectors. Each time, human regular patrol vessels have demonstrated impossible defensive capabilities. They're making a point, General Kordak realized. These encounters aren't random. They're showing the galaxy what their basic ships can do. Exactly. It's a deterrent display. They're demonstrating that any military action against human interests would be futile, while maintaining plausible deniability about the true extent of their capabilities. Brilliant strategy, admitted Minister Plexona, despite her growing unease. They're establishing dominance without appearing aggressive. The question, Velnara said, is what they want. What are humanity's long-term intentions for the galaxy? Perhaps we should ask them, suggested Ambassador Cretal. Our diplomatic corps has been trying. Human responses have been evasive. They speak of mutual cooperation and shared security interests, but they've been remarkably vague about specifics. Shared security against what? That, Velnara said grimly, is what we need to find out. Because if humans are right, if there is some external threat approaching, then our survival may depend on understanding what they know. She deactivated the displays, leaving the chamber in dim lighting that somehow made the situation seem even more ominous. Recommendations? She asked. Immediate diplomatic overtures, Ambassador Cretal said quickly. We need to establish better communication channels with human leadership. Agreed, said General Kordak. But we also need to assess our own defensive capabilities. If humans are preparing for something, we need to know how we measure against their threat assessments. Scientific exchange programs, added Professor Yexandris. If we're facing an unknown threat, we need access to their research data. and economic cooperation, Minister Plex_Corona concluded. Whatever's coming, we'll face it better as allies than as potential enemies. Supreme Commander Velnara shifted to a cautious yellow color. Very well. I'll authorize all 4 initiatives. But, remember, we're not negotiating from a position of strength. Humanity has effectively achieved galactic military supremacy while we weren't paying attention. Whatever agreements we reach need to acknowledge that reality. As the emergency session ended and the representatives departed to brief their respective governments, Velnara remained in the chamber, studying the data streams with growing unease. Humanity had changed everything, and most of the galaxy didn't even know it yet. Somewhere in the darkness beyond the galactic rim, something waited. Something that had motivated an entire species to transform itself into the most formidable military force in known space. And, soon, Velnara suspected, they would all discover what humanity had been preparing for. The age of galactic innocence was ending. What came next would depend on whether the rest of the galaxy could adapt quickly enough to survive what was coming. Dr. Elena Vasquez stood before the assembled Galactic Council, her simple human appearance deceiving no one in the chamber anymore. 3 months had passed since the intelligence briefing that had shaken the galaxy's understanding of humanity, and now the other species demanded answers. The floor recognizes Dr. Elena Vasquez, Director of Human External Affairs, announced the council speaker, a tall, graceful ethereal whose translucent form flickered with nervous energy. Elena approached the central podium, her footsteps echoing in the vast chamber that housed representatives from 47 different species. She could feel the weight of their attention, their fear, their desperate need to understand what humanity knew that they didn't. Honored representatives, she began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's translation systems, I stand before you today to address your concerns about humanity's military preparations and our knowledge of external threats. Finally, muttered someone from the Veltari delegation. Elena smiled slightly. I understand your frustration. 4 months, you've been asking questions we seemed reluctant to answer. The reason for our apparent evasiveness wasn't arrogance or secrecy, it was hope. Hope? Supreme Commander Velnara's crystalline form shifted to a questioning blue. Hope that we were wrong. Hope that our preparations would prove unnecessary. Hope that the threat we've been monitoring would pass us by or prove to be less dangerous than our calculations suggested. Elena paused, studying the faces around her. Unfortunately, recent developments have made it clear that our hopes were misplaced. What threat? Demanded General Korthak, leaning forward in his massive seat. Elena activated the chamber's holographic systems, displaying a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy. To understand what's coming, you need to understand where humanity comes from. Not our planet, not our system, but our journey to this galaxy. The hologram zoomed out, showing the local group of galaxies, with the Milky Way highlighted in blue. Humanity didn't originate in this galaxy, Elena said quietly. The statement sent ripples of shock through the chamber. Several representatives started speaking at once, their voices creating a cacophony of confusion and disbelief. Order! Order, the speaker called, restoring quiet. Dr. Vasquez, please explain. We came from there, Elena said, highlighting a distant galaxy in the display. Andromeda. Our original civilization developed there over 2 million years ago. We were not the only intelligent species in that galaxy, there were thousands, maybe tens of thousands of different civilizations. Were? Professor Yex_Andrus's tentacles had gone completely still. Were, Elena confirmed grimly. Because 15,000 years ago, something came out of the darkness between galaxies. Something that consumed every trace of intelligent life in Andromeda. The chamber fell absolutely silent. We call them the Devourers, though that's not really accurate. They don't eat or consume in any biological sense. They're something else entirely, entities that exist partially outside normal spacetime. They feed on organized information, on complexity, on the patterns that create consciousness and civilization. That's impossible, declared Minister Plex_Corona. Nothing could survive in intergalactic space. Nothing organic, Elena agreed. The Devourers aren't organic. They're not even entirely physical. They exist in something we call the deep dark, the quantum foam between realities. They can manifest in normal space when they encounter sufficient organized complexity, and, when they do. She activated another display showing what appeared to be a dead star system, planets stripped of atmosphere, moons cracked open, even the star itself dark and cold. This was a system with 12 billion inhabitants. Artists, scientists, philosophers, children playing in gardens under alien suns. The Devourers passed through here approximately 14,000 years ago. What you're seeing is what remains. How do you know this? Asked Ambassador Cretel, her voice barely above a whisper. Because some of us escaped. Not many, maybe a few 100,000 out of trillions. We had advance warning, you see. Our deep space monitoring stations detected the Devourers while they were still moving through the outer reaches of Andromeda. We had about 300 years to prepare. Elena's expression grew distant, as if she were remembering something painful. 300 years to build ships capable of intergalactic travel. 300 years to select who would survive and who would stay behind to buy us time. 300 years to watch our civilization, everything we had ever built or dreamed, prepare to die. How many escaped? Supreme Commander Velnara asked softly. 47 ships. Each carrying about 20,000 people in suspended animation, along with our entire accumulated knowledge and the genetic templates of every species from our galaxy we could preserve. We called ourselves the Last Fleet. The implications were staggering. Elena was describing the complete extinction of an entire galaxy's worth of civilizations. Where did you go? Professor Yex_Andrus asked. Everywhere. The 47 ships went to 47 different galaxies, hoping to find new homes, new chances to rebuild. Most were lost to the journey. Intergalactic space is hostile even to our most advanced technology. A few may have survived, found homes in distant galaxies, but we don't know. And you came here. Our ship reached the Milky Way about 10,000 years ago. We found this galaxy teeming with young civilizations, with species just beginning to reach for the stars. It was beautiful. It was everything we had lost. Elena's voice grew stronger, more determined. But we also knew the truth. The Devourers don't stop. They move from galaxy to galaxy, consuming, destroying, leaving nothing behind but dead space. And our long-range sensors were already detecting signs of their approach. They're coming here? General Korthak's voice was strained. They're already here, Elena said grimly. Moving through the outer darkness, probing the edge of the galaxy. Our estimates suggest they'll begin their main assault within 50 to 75 years. The chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives shouted questions, demands, denials. The speakers struggled to maintain order while Elena waited patiently for the storm to subside. How can you be certain? Supreme Commander Vel_Nara finally asked when quiet was restored. Elena activated another display, this one showing sensor readings from the edge of the galaxy. The data streams were complex, but even non-specialists could see the patterns, regular disturbances, growing stronger over time. Our deep space monitoring network has been tracking them for 2,000 years. The same signatures we recorded in Andromeda, the same approach patterns. They're coming, and, when they arrive, everything we've built here will face the same fate that befell our original home. Unless? Ambassador Cretel asked, somehow knowing there had to be more. Unless we're ready for them this time. In Andromeda, we were unprepared. We had no idea what we were facing until it was too late. Here, we have advance warning. We have time to prepare. We have allies. Elena gestured to the assembled representatives. This is why humanity has been building what you call an impossible military. We're not preparing to conquer the galaxy, we're preparing to save it. Every ship we build, every weapon we develop, every defensive system we deploy, it's all focused on one goal, stopping the Devourers before they can consume another galaxy. Can they be stopped? Professor Yex_Andrus asked. We don't know. In Andromeda, we never had the chance to find out. Our technology was advanced, but not advanced enough. Here, we've had 10,000 years to study their nature, to understand how they operate. We've developed new theories, new approaches. The antimatter reactors, realized General Court_hack. The impossible defensive systems. Conventional technology isn't effective against the devourers. They exist partially outside normal space. Energy weapons pass through them, kinetic weapons can't target them. But antimatter creates quantum disruptions that can affect their dimensional anchors. Elena activated a new display showing human ship designs. Every human vessel is designed with one primary purpose: to fight entities that exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Our regular patrol ships can withstand your most powerful weapons because they're built to survive attacks from beings that can manipulate the fundamental forces of reality. And, your world_enders? Vel_Nara's question was barely audible. Are designed to collapse localized space_time. If we can force the devourers into normal dimensional space, those weapons can potentially destroy them permanently. Potentially. The chamber was silent as the representatives absorbed the implications of what they were hearing. What do you need from us? Minister Plex_Ona finally asked. Elena's expression brightened slightly. Everything. The devourers consumed entire galactic civilizations in Andromeda. They won't be stopped by humanity alone, no matter how advanced our technology. We need every species, every world, every mind working together. You're asking us to trust you with our entire civilizations based on a threat we can't see or verify, Ambassador Kree_Tal pointed out. I'm asking you to help us save your civilizations from a threat that will consume everything you've ever loved or built if we fail, Elena replied. But, I understand your skepticism. She activated one final display. Our deep space monitoring stations are open to your inspection. Our research data is available for your analysis. Our ship designs can be shared with your engineers. We're not asking for blind faith, we're asking for partnership. What kind of partnership? Supreme Commander Vel_Nara asked. Every species contributes what they do best. The Veltari Empire has unmatched tactical doctrine, we need your strategic thinking. The Trade Federation controls resource distribution, we need your logistics expertise. The Scientific Coalition has research capabilities that complement our own, we need your theoretical insights. Elena stepped back from the podium, her presentation complete. The Devourers are coming. In 50 to 70_5 years, they will reach the inhabited portions of this galaxy. When they do, we can face them as a united galactic civilization with the best technology and strategies our combined species can develop, or we can face them as scattered, unprepared worlds that will fall one by one. And if we choose cooperation, asked the speaker. Then, for the first time in galactic history, an intelligent civilization might actually win against the Devourers. We might not just survive, we might end the threat permanently and save every galaxy they would have consumed after ours. The chamber remained silent for long moments as the representatives considered what they had heard. Finally, Supreme Commander Vel_Nara spoke. Dr. Vasquez, on behalf of the Galactic Intelligence Consortium, I want to formally request immediate access to your monitoring data and research archives. Granted. The warrior clans pledge our military expertise to this effort, declared General Court_hack. The Trade Federation will mobilize our resource networks, added Minister Plex_Ona. The Scientific Coalition offers our full research capabilities, Professor Yex_Andrus confirmed. One by one, every representative in the chamber pledged their species cooperation. Elena felt a warmth spreading through her chest, something she hadn't felt since childhood, when hope seemed like a reasonable thing to feel. Then, we begin immediately, she said. Because the countdown to the Devourer's arrival has already started, and we have work to do. As the session ended and representatives departed to brief their governments, Elena remained at the podium, staring at the galactic map still floating in the holographic display. Somewhere out there, in the darkness between stars, ancient enemies were approaching. But, for the first time in 10,000 years, humanity wouldn't face them alone. The galaxy was waking up to the greatest threat it had ever faced. But it was also discovering what it could accomplish when every intelligent species worked together toward a common goal. The real war was about to begin.